Greetings to you on this Wednesday, the 15th of May today. Our devotion is entitled Order from Chaos. The first reading from Charles Dickens comes from his work Dombey and Son, Dombey, Dombey and Son, Order from Chaos. The first shock of a great earthquake had rent the whole neighborhood to its center. Traces of its course were visible on every side. Houses were knocked down, streets broken through and stopped, deep pits and trenches dug in the ground, enormous heaps of earth and clay thrown up, buildings that were undermined and shaking, propped by great beams of wood. Here, a chaos of carts, overthrown and jumbled together, lay topsy-turvy at the bottom of a steep, unnatural hill. There, confused treasures of iron, soaked and rusted in something that had accidentally become a pond. Everywhere were bridges that led nowhere, thoroughfares that were wholly impassable, Babel towers of chimneys wanting half their height, temporary wooden houses and enclosures in the most unlikely situations, carcasses of ragged tenements and fragments of unfinished walls and arches and piles of scaffolding and wilderness of bricks and giant forms of cranes and tripods straddling above nothing. There were 100,000 shapes and substances of incompleteness, wildly mingled out of their places upside down, burrowing in the earth, aspiring in the air, moldering in the water, and unintelligible as any dream. Boiling water hissed and heaved within dilapidated walls, and mounds of ashes blocked up rights of way, and wholly changed the law and custom of the neighborhood. In short, the yet unfinished and unopened railroad was in progress. And from the very core of all this dire disorder, trailed smoothly away upon its mighty course of civilization and improvement. Quite a lot of phrases in that of describing the remnants of things after an earthquake. And now the meditational thoughts based on that. In Dickens' time, the city of London rapidly changed as the railroad was built. In an already filthy environment, there were debris and disorder as buildings came down to make way for tracks, bridges, railway stations, and new businesses to support new needs. Dickens, who often walked the streets of London searching for scenes for his books, incorporated this shifting infrastructure into the settings of his latter works, as in this passage from Dombey and Son. It presents an image of chaos without even a hint of order. And although we modern readers know that order did eventually come from the chaos, Dickens's contemporary readers were left to wonder what would become of London. From the foundation of time, we find God creating order from chaos. Genesis 1 says that in the beginning the earth was without form, and God shaped it into something perfect. In 1 Corinthians 14:33, we discover that, quote, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. He always has a plan, and he always works that plan into being, according to Psalm 33:11. Look at the world today, and like Dickens, you might see chaos. Often it seems that things are out of control, but keep in mind that wherever chaos enters, there is hope. The familiar Bible verse of Romans 8:28 says, "We know that all things work together for good to those who love God." Our Heavenly Father specializes in chaotic situations. He can bring harmony where disorder reigns. Being the sovereign God that he is, he can also take what our enemy, the devil, means for evil and turn it for good, which is what Joseph told his brothers when they realized that's who they were talking to there in Egypt. Were fearful that their brother would get even with them. He said, "Don't worry, what you meant for evil, God has used for good. My position here now is going to save you and save the people of God." Mark 14:36, Jesus is praying, "Abba, Father, all things are possible for you." Those are the kind of thoughts we need to remember all the time. We're so quickly overwhelmed by the chaos, by the political chaos, the financial chaos, the health chaos, the chaos of uncertainty, the chaos of just so much around us, all rooted in sin, all rooted in our being willing, as we looked at yesterday, to be grumpy, pretty much saying, "God, you're not getting it done right. I need to elect a new God." Order from chaos. That's what creation was all about. There wasn't anything. And everything was without form and void. As early the Genesis 1 says, yeah, God spoke. Boom. There's order. There's a putting together of things. There's creating a glorious, not just a planet Earth, but a glorious universe. All in order, all under certain constrictions of God's law that keeps things where they're supposed to be. From our own planet to our bodies, the psalmist says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. To the oddest and furthest reaches of the cosmos. God has it in order. God has it in his hands. That is a truth, a reality we must live with every day, because that's what it's like to live by faith, because all things are possible with him. And what others may have meant for evil, God can and will use it for his good, for those who love him, for those who are called according to his purpose. And his goal, his purpose, is to shape us into the image of his son, Jesus. Blessings to you today on this Wednesday.